Hey, what's up, Adam?
What's up, Peter?
Man, how was your weekend?
Man, it was great. My sister came in town.
Mine was crazy. I did this gig down in Branson in the Ozarks with Ron.
Okay.
He says hello, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
It was a duo gig, just the two of us, but it was actually a trio gig.
Well, how's that possible?
Well, I was playing accordion.
Yeah.
Kind of weird for me, but in Branson.
I bet it was killing.
Yeah, and Ron was on bass guitar and glockenspiel.
Oh,
so it was kind
wild.
of a trio. He was doing both. It was
That's
fun.
crazy.
Actually, that reminds me, you know what we're doing today?
What's that? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music Explored.
Explored brought to you today by Open Studio. Go to openstudiojazz.com for your jazz lesson needs. And Peter,
yes,
you can go to our brand new bespoke.
Did you say brand new?
Brand new bespoke.
Okay,
Open Studio Music YouTube channel.
Yes.
We're posting performances from not just some of our performances from the intros and outros here on the show, but also some originals that you and I are writing based on the shorts and the YouTube videos we make. It's exciting, man.
We're not actually posting performances. We're actually, dare I say, posting dope performances, or at least some of them.
Wow, really go out on a limb there. Dare you may.
No, there's a couple of them that I actually have been enjoying listening to. A little bit of a soundtrack of my current life, which I don't usually do with stuff that I'm a part of.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. There's some nice stuff.
We're having a great time over there.
Yeah.
So go check that out. That's Open Studio Music on YouTube.
That's right.
.com.
That's good.
.org? Is it youtube.org? No. Peter, big day.
Yes, this is a big day.
Very big day. And I know we always say that.
Well, these are big albums. No, I think there's been a couple times we didn't say anything. I know now people are going to be like, oh, how come you didn't say it for that album?
I know.
But this is a big album.
Yeah, this is a big album.
This is, we're going to take you back to a time that I think even young Adam Maness might remember. It's 25 years ago.
No, this is 100% in my sort of top 10 most influential albums of my life. And I think a lot of folks of my generation, of your generation, anybody who is sort of like aware around the year 2000s.
Yeah, older millennials to younger Gen Xers.
That's right.
And beyond.
If you were into music, you couldn't miss D'Angelo's Voodoo album.
Yes.
It was just an incredible, huge hit album commercially, but also artistically.
Yes.
And it really has influenced a whole generation of players. Even if you don't know, you might be super young listening to this, you have been influenced by this album via the players that you listen to.
Are really young people now, do they look at this record like what's going on? Or I always wonder about that. Like when we were coming up, we think about like a classic record, like we've done Talking Book, What's Going On, and that was like 25 years, produced before I probably was really... Oh, no, I was hearing it like 15 years after.
Well,
it was
maybe
made.
this conversation we can have towards the end about like, how has this album aged?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now we are 25 years out from it. And how is it received now?
Yeah. And it was like a really anticipated record because
he doesn't make a lot of albums.
D'Angelo's made 4 records. Let's go ahead and put that out there now.
In like 30 years.
Yeah, in more than 30 years.
Oh, my gosh.
But, he's... Like this record, because Brown Sugar, which came out like, what was that, like 94, 95,
Amazing
something
album.
like that.
Amazing album.
Yeah, was a huge hit record. And then, but this is a little bit kind of a different record. But within the music world, and I think within the general public, the music-aware public, it was kind of known that he was working on a record and that it was not coming out and that it was going to come out and it didn't come out. So it was definitely anticipated in a way that I think doesn't quite exist anymore because albums are still a thing, but like people are dropping singles, they're dropping, diss tracks at midnight,
That's true. A lot of
that.
pop artists are kind of constantly releasing singles.
Yeah.
Leading up to an album and in between.
Yes.
Even like right after an album, they'll release a single that's like, this might be on the next one. We'll see how it goes. But this was like we heard from D'Angelo in 94, like you said, in Brown Sugar.
Yep.
And then we don't hear from him again, really.
Right.
Until this drops in 2000, I think is this when
this came out in 2000,
Yeah.
February 2000, but they were working on it like, 96, 97, 97, 98, 99, I guess, mainly 98, 99. He did have a great record that came out, which is Live at the Jazz Cafe. A lot of people don't know about this record. It came out everywhere, but it was especially big in Japan. I remember I picked that up. That came out like 98. And it was recorded with his touring band, and it's like a lot of the Brown Sugar material and a couple of covers as well.
It's killing.
Incredible record.
It's killing.
So that was a little bit of a bridge between those things. I remember getting the CD in Japan that had bonus tracks that they used to do, great versions of that. So this was officially actually his third record. But for most people, this was kind of like his second record.
It's a pretty hipster run you just went on there. This is a record most people don't know about. It's really
I'm always surprised
big in Japan.
No. When I tell people, I was like, was it only released? I had to look it up. It was released everywhere. Incredible record, actually. Live at the London Jazz Cafe.
So let's talk a little bit more about D'Angelo himself, the man himself. So born in 1974.
Yes.
In Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia, VA. His father was a Pentecostal minister, came up in the church, played a lot of gospel music, played the organ, played the piano, sang, played the drums.
And it's all over his music.
It's all over his music. And then, interestingly, his mother was described as a jazz aficionado, if not a jazz musician, but a listener, very much into the church too, but loved Miles Davis and a bunch of the classic records and exposed her son to that. So he had that kind of magical upbringing of, kind of almost like that trinity of like soul music, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, really steeped in that. And then, of course, Prince, Michael Jackson, that whole tradition, but also gospel. He talks about the Hawkins family, like those recordings. Once he heard that, just changed his whole thing. A lot of musical references in all of his recordings to that. Jazz, he was very jazz aware. Roy Hargrove, who we're going to talk about a lot, who was a huge influence on this record, a huge presence on many of the tracks on this. Somebody that D'Angelo, even before he got to New York, had been listening to and sort of tracking. Roy was a couple of years older than him. So
pretty
interesting
much
influences.
Every jazz musician that I was friends with at this time, I had just moved to New York when this came out, and all of my musical friends there were obsessed with this album. This is definitely like catnip for jazz musicians.
Yes.
It's got Roy on it, of course, but more than that, it's just there's a feeling of it that you can hear he's steeped in several different genres of music that
a lot of minor nines. We
love
minor nines.
Yeah. I mean, I felt
vamps.
I felt a connection from Brown Sugar just like immediately. Like this feels very familiar.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember Brown Sugar, like that was before that record even came out. I remember Mark Whitfield, who played on a couple tracks on there.
Friend of the show, dear friend of mine for many years. Larry Grenadier's playing some on that. There was a bunch of jazz, like little influences on that record. But that, Brown Sugar maybe was seen even by D'Angelo himself as more of like a R&B type of record. Yeah. And I'm going to put it out there now. Oh boy.
My first thing on this. I think this is not an R&B record. Okay, we're going to get into this and listen. I think this is a straight up soul record, whatever that means. Okay.
You're going to have to define some genres here and then give us some reasons.
Do genres
you can't just
matter?
throw this out there without anything to back it up.
Well, Brown Sugar is definitely more. I know that they were talking about, neo soul and that whole thing, which is like a very sloppy term in a way, but it was definitely, a trend. But I think that this record is it's almost a reaction to sort of that 90s R&B sound, which, really started in the late 80s.
You got a problem with Jodeci? What's up?
Jodeci, SWV, TLC, a lot of acronyms, a lot of initials, Boys to Men, and really like Whitney Houston, even a lot of kind of pop crossover.
Can we just have a 90s R&B episode now that you're saying all these names?
No, I love all that stuff.
That.
But this kind of sound, okay, yes, it's at the end of the decade, but it's very much a 90s record, actually. It came out in February of 2000, but all this stuff was made in the 90s. And all this recording, like Babyface, Janet Jackson, Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam, like that whole sound, which was like a lot of stuff I listened to when I was young. This was something different, and I think there was definitely an appetite for it. Obviously, it's very connected with, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, George Clinton, Kool and the Gang, with like Prince and Michael Jackson as sort of a connector.
A lot of Prince.
We're going to get into that. So. But it's got some great personalities on here. Why don't we listen first to the first track? Is that a good way to get into it?
It definitely is.
Playa, Playa. So you already know this is a different kind of record, right? Hi-hat.
Yeah, from the first cross stick.
Yeah.
It sounds different.
Yeah.
The dry ass cross stick.
Amir Thompson, of course, Questlove, commonly known as drums, production, input all over this record. So this almost choir-like layering of D'Angelo's voice. You're gonna hear throughout the record some of the genius, I think, that really connects the musicality of this album.
Very talking bookish,
Yes.
actually.
Roy.
Is it Pino Palladino?
Pino Palladino on bass. I mean, the syncopation, of course, the laid back, the offset.
Control you with my drop. Raise you with my handle. Impress you with my pride. Play you like a pro. And take over the show.
How does this groove feel to you?
I mean, for me, it feels pretty awesome.
It feels awesome.
It's still startling how behind the beat some of those vocals
Right.
lay back.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it. I have actually Amir talking about this some, about how that came about. Obviously, the J Dilla influence is huge on this record, although he's not listed anywhere on the liner notes or anything, famously. But with that interpretation.
A Dexter Gordon-ish.
Yeah, but if you think about, like, if Pino is right there at the beat, and then Questlove is maybe he's a little bit behind, and then D'Angelo's much behind it, you know.
Sometimes floating way behind, sometimes on it.
And the guitar is Dino Campbell. But I think Pino and Amir's hookup on this is I mean, can you understand one word that?
No.
Okay.
Can't understand anything. But to me, this one of the striking things is from the opening track. I think all of the hallmarks of Voodoo are here. What we're going to hear for the rest, which is there's such a distinct sound between Pino Palladino and Questlove.
Yes.
Right. The sound of the drums and the sound of the bass. I can't actually think of. I mean, it is the sound of Voodoo.
Yes.
That sound, right?
Right, that's right.
And it's one of the more distinctive drum and bass hookups, I think, in music history.
Yes, yeah. It's fantastic.
You play that sound and you're like, that's Voodoo.
Exactly. And it was so influential on so many people. I mean, when this came out, even though, again, like, if we look at maybe J Dilla, the great Detroit producer, drum on the MPC, just force of nature, he really kind of conceptualized this and had demonstrated this and had produced this sound already. So it was very much picking up on that. But I think they were doing it in a way on this record that was like, a lot of these are like just live takes going through, and then the vocals would get layered and the horns would get layered, but everything else was played live.
Yeah.
Very like organic in the studio. You talked about the cross stick, that Questlove is doing.
Hallmark.
There's almost no snare drum on. I mean, actual like snare drum on this
cross
record.
stick heavy,
it's so much cross stick. In fact, when the snare comes in, it's kind of stomach.
I mean, when your cross stick sounds that great,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
But for those of you that are like, what the hell are you guys talking about behind the beat? It just sounds like it's grooving. It absolutely sounds like it is grooving. It's a great fear. But this is Questlove, Amir, talking about a little bit about this drag time.
By the time that D'Angelo and I started the Voodoo record, which was like mid '96, that was the hardest thing ever, because he constantly, like, he wanted me to drag the beat, but then he dragged the beat behind me. Mm-hmm. And so now I got to program my mind to think, okay, this is the metronome. And now he wants me to play. Which is, you know, I started having issues. Like, well, what if other drummers, like the musician community, is going to laugh at me? And he's like, nah, man, trust me. Like, use the Force. He used to use all these Star Wars analogies with me. Like, use the Force, man. And I'd never seen Star Wars, so.
Yeah. So that's kind of, you know, where that came from. There was definitely some tension. This took several years, like, to go through this. And then I think Pino Palladino was really sort of the connector because he would bridge that, like, between the actual time and that drag time. He was kind of right in there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
You know, was really, like, locked in with the bass drum. But then there was a lot of, we're going to hear, like, especially on Chicken Grease, where there's almost like a contrapuntal thing rhythmically happening between, like, the bass drum, certainly the cross stick, the guitar riffs, and what Pino's playing on there. That's really, really interesting and creates a very unique kind of syncopation.
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like it's only been maybe in the last 10 years that we started to, in at least popular Black American music, started to weave out of sort of the Dilla beat style that you hear a lot of young musicians playing. And we can, especially in the last maybe 5 years, get a really glimpse of it now from slightly ahead of it, like slightly, I guess, behind it, where we are in history.
It, right.
But now you can look back at it.
Yep.
And this album is definitely one of the, like, oh, this can be very, very popular.
Yes.
This sort of like the drag time beat. And then it would take over a lot of styles of music from here on out.
Yeah.
For like 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not on every track on here so acutely.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of comes and goes, and I think it's been exaggerated that, like, everybody's always playing behind. I'm like, if everybody's playing behind the beat, then they're all playing together. There's almost like this looseness to it. Like, that's part of the feel of, like, how it doesn't fit into the grid. And I think that a lot of this was either conscious or unconscious reaction to that very, what R&B music and pop
the tight
and hip hop, it got, like, everything was tight to the grid, digital. Totally. This whole record was recorded analog, to tape at a time when, like, Pro Tools was.
It's
always
a comment back on computers that had taken over and the drum machines that had taken over.
Yeah.
And, like, we're gonna, and it's so funny because it all comes out of Jay Dilla, who was using
yeah,
drum machines
exactly
in this way. But it's if you want proof of the sort of ubiquitousness of this beat, next time you're on a gig with any millennial drummer, just shout Dilla beat and watch what happens, because they can all do it.
And they're gonna all this weird look. You know?
They can change their posture. They can all do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think too, like, it's interesting to say about that, like, Dilla being on the machine. Questlove, there's parts of this that he's playing so specific and, like, no fills or anything in exactly the same way that it sounds like it's looped. I think there might have been some looping on this, but I always thought this record had a bunch of loops. But hearing them talk about it, they're like, no, they recorded everything live together in the room. So,
I mean, I'm not surprised at all. He's the drummer for the Roots.
Right, exactly.
That's what he does.
Exactly. No, he's incredible. And obviously there's no click track or anything. But the grid is there, but it's like they're dancing all around it. Okay, so so basically, I think D'Angelo coming out of Brown Sugar was really, for his next record, he had a sound in mind, and he really wanted to, like, do his own music and do stuff in a way, and also just create in the studio. So him and Questlove were already connected, and some other folks. And actually, Charlie Hunter, we're going to get to Charlie Hunter, a huge influence on this.
Charlie Hunter.
Had already recorded some stuff with them where he was playing bass and guitar. But around that time, there was a B.B. King record, and this was kind of one of these records. This is when BB was kind of having one of his big revivals, and they had a bunch of different guests, and D'Angelo was going to be guesting on one track. And Pino Palladino, bassist from, where are you from if you're Welsh?
Wales.
There you go. I was like, he's from Welsh. No, he is Welsh. He's
Apologies
from Wales.
to all of our Welsh listeners.
Legendary bassist that wasn't, like, super well known, but I mean, he was like a session cat and played with some also huge tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know that he'd done a lot of this kind of stuff that people were aware of. But he was on the B.B. King session, and apparently when D'Angelo got there and before B.B. King came in, he kind of went over to the piano and was playing, like, some Marvin Gaye stuff or whatever, and Pino started playing with him, and D'Angelo was like, and then he was asking, like, wait, who was that? I like that kind of sound. He went into some of his James Chambers and stuff. Well, let's hear Pino talk about it, actually.
But there was an immediate connection as soon as we literally, second verse of that song, where D took the lead. He was playing, I think he was playing piano and took the lead.
Yeah.
And he took the lead and I'm playing, I'm like, damn, he sounds so good. And it kind of informed me, all of a sudden I was like, man, I can do, yeah. And I just went for some shit, Hearing his voice inspired me to try some Jameson style, walking around a little bit more, playing some busy bass stuff. and I felt him react to that immediately. Something happened on that tune, but that was B.B. King too.
Wow.
B.B. made that happen.
So here's the track. This is going into the second verse with D'Angelo.
How many times I begged you to come home, but you laughed at me and said to let me alone. I saw you
started to go down.
It's actually great to hear D'Angelo on such a straight ahead
track
like this. It's really awesome. Like to hear him on, first of all, I'm such a sucker for those slickly produced artists, legend at the end of their career, making an album with a bunch of young upstarts. I dig in every time. I like it so much. But to hear D'Angelo with like a slickly produced session musician heavy, it's very fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's great. So that was 97. That came out in 97. I think they recorded in 97 too. So that's where Pino and D'Angelo first connected, and then D'Angelo invited him in to the session. And so they had already recorded, a couple of tunes with Charlie Hunter, and maybe we'll wait to get to that, or do we want to jump in that already?
Let's jump in.
Let's jump in already. I like it. Look at that.
Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah. And so probably the most famous, I think he did 3 tracks on here. And Charlie Hunter, if you're not aware of him, check him out. He's amazing jazz and beyond guitarist. But he was playing an 8-string. I think he plays a 7-string now. I've seen him play a 7-string, but he was playing 8-string then, which was like basically it's a bass and a guitar.
Yeah.
And he's playing with his thumb,
it's
the bass parts, and what a guitarist. He's doing 2 jobs.
It's a specially made guitar.
You're getting 2 musicians for the price of 1 with him.
And he's by far one of the greatest in the world at that. Truly like special person.
Yeah. And so how D'Angelo became aware of Charlie Hunter apparently was he was watching, this is of course like pre-internet days, or at least, I guess pre-internet, very much internet. There used to be a cable station. Do you know what cable is? You remember cable, right?
I do.
Okay. A cable station called Bet on Jazz. There was BET,
of course,
which was huge at the time.
Yeah.
Talking about 90s R&B.
Yeah.
And so they had started this jazz station, Bet on Jazz, and they didn't have a lot of content. But it was a 24-hour. You had to be 24 hours because it was cable television, right?
Not enough jazz?
Right. Exactly. Well, because they would only use stuff that was like recorded in their studios in DC. I actually played on it. I did a thing with Mark Whitfield quartet that but if you went into the studio and did stuff for them, they would play it. Oh, people would be like, "Oh, I saw you on Bet on Jazz. I saw you again. Oh, I saw you." And like so many people would see because they would just loop the stuff all night long. So Charlie Hunter had done something with his band, and D'Angelo heard him late at night watching in the hotel room and was like, "Oh man, who is that?" And so then he went out and got all his records, like listened. And apparently this is how D'Angelo does it. When he did the same thing with Roy Hargrove. When he hears something he likes, he just becomes like encyclopedic knowledge of it and it's like absorbs the whole thing. Because Charlie Hunter said when he got into the studio with him, it was like he knew all his stuff and it's like, "Man, can you do this? And I heard you do it on this." He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "No, you played it in the 4th bar of that thing on your record." And
no, it doesn't surprise me that the guy that takes 8 years, 10 years to make an album is super detailed with his research and everything.
Right. So first, I'm going to play you the demo that this has been passed around a lot, so I don't think I'm out of turn by playing this here. This is all over the internet, I believe. But this is D'Angelo actually at the piano with the demo for Spanish Joint. It's interesting to hear how... Because it was actually co-written, they said, by D'Angelo and Roy Hargrove. Yeah. So Roy definitely had some stuff that he put on. I know we're going to hear Charlie Hunter put something on it. But here's D'Angelo, the demo.
Okay, I can play this joint I wrote called Spanish Joint. It's on the new Voodoo album.
Joint I wrote called Spanish Joint.
I love this. I've heard this before.
Minor 6, F minor 6.
just like this.
He has some good voicings.
Whenever it rains, I feel this way.
Amazing.
Little something to get me through this thing. Hey, give me a look that knows I'm glad. Yeah, won't give me a good thing. Good in me, feeling free.
So that's what the vibe was. And then, there's these different sections and stuff. Russ Elevado, who was the engineer, he produced some of these tracks, was a huge influence on this record.
Yeah.
One of the huge personalities was there with D'Angelo like all the time. He later went on to produce the RH Factor records with Roy Hargrove, incredible engineer. He's the one who really pushed them to do everything analog, nothing digital, no Pro Tools and stuff. But this is him talking about how this came about, the Spanish Joint track.
Where did Spanish Joint come out of?
Actually, he'd played that song for me on the piano, and he was saying that he should probably get Charlie Hunter on it or something. And on Charlie's last day, he was about to leave, and D came up to me and said, well, is there anything I'm forgetting? Is there a song we should try to do? And I was like, well, how about Spanish Joint? And he's like, Spanish Joint? Oh shit. So he played it for Charlie, and they did it pretty much. We got the first take. That's the first take you hear, within like an hour or something. They kind of put the arrangement together, and that was it.
It's so funny because we'll play the Charlie Hunter version that made the album.
Yeah.
But hearing that demo,
yeah,
it's major Stevie vibes.
Yes.
On the demo
for sure.
Like there's when he comes in with the melody, singing the melody, that you get a much more Stevie sense of the song, like a Stevie Wonder influence, than you do on the one that made the record.
Right. And that piano is at Electric Lady Studio, which we should mention was another personality in this record.
For sure.
Jimi Hendrix's bespoke built studio for him from the early 70s. That's where this whole record was recorded. And he was actually playing on the keyboards and the piano that Stevie recorded there, Talking Book. So there's a lot of direct connections with that, of course, with that room. So here's the track, the actual track, and then we're going to break it down because I got some isolation on it too. One take.
Whenever it rains, feel this way.
Little phase on his voice. So.
Little something
very Talking Bookish.
Give me a look
Is that snare? I think he's sneaking some snare. It's still cross-sticking it.
Yeah, snare.
Yeah. But all those details you already heard in the demo.
Oh, it's all there. Yeah. The Roy chorus.
Oh man.
Yeah, Roy Hargrove made everything he was ever on better.
Yeah.
By magnitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This bridge. And apparently each of the sections, there was no set form. There was just the 3 sections, and they were tracking it live, in one take. We're gonna listen to some more, some isolation. They were tracking it live, so because Charlie Hunter had talked about he's like, I didn't really know when I was supposed to go to the next part, but D'Angelo would just be like, and then we'd go to that. Yeah. So he showed him the 3 parts, and then he's like, I'll show you when we're going to it. And you can hear at the end, we're gonna go all the way to the end because it's got some really cool stuff where it feels like it's, and then they go up a half, they transpose it, it's cool. Okay, so let's go over to our new secret bespoke system. And okay, so what you were hearing, what you just heard is it sounds like there's a bass. Well, check this out. So if we listen to that's just the guitar part, right? And now I'm going to add in the bass. And then we're going to go to just the bass.
But this is all happening on the same.
This is all happening on the same.
At the
instrument.
same time.
This is the.
Yeah.
So he's doing.
Yeah, when you see Charlie Hunter live.
Yeah, this isn't even like by far the most impressive stuff he can do.
When you see him live, he usually has 2 amps on stage, a bass amp and a guitar amp, and he's got 2 outputs from this guitar.
Yeah.
Even though it's all right here on the guitar.
And then we can add in.
That's all you need.
Killing drum group.
Add a little Roy Hargrove on top of that.
Oh, you want a little Roy? So Roy added the horn parts after everything else tracked live. And I love this here.
Yeah, I mean...
And he voiced all that stuff out in those open
Of course
fours.
he did. First of all, Roy is a melodic genius, as we both know. But he also, what you get when you get Roy is you get this like instant arranger as well.
Yeah.
So good. Like all those little clusters, that's not something that most people just hear.
Right.
And Roy's hearing that stuff so easily. It's really cool.
So this is without drums. You can...
In the dark, in the light, looks and see.
Incredible voice.
The counterpoint between the guitar line and Roy's stuff.
And the cloud of fire, she won't cease to rain. Don't bang.
You can really hear the Virginia.
Yeah.
And then you just isolate the voice.
That bass line.
Just won't do.
It's killing. What a sound.
This solo here is killing. And the Roy.
And if you don't know Charlie Hunter, he is playing bass and soloing at the same time.
Yes, yeah. This is all. So let me just take it back because this solo, I'm gonna give you just Charlie Hunter. Let me just make sure I do this right here. Charlie Hunter and Roy, because Roy added these horns after. So the one take, Charlie Hunter's playing the bass part, he's soloing. Roy puts so much stuff in there, but it just works somehow because it's a pretty busy solo, right?
Yeah.
Check it out. This is just Roy and Charlie. It's killing.
Amazing.
And then Roy's getting even more stuff in.
Yeah, Roy's being a part of the rhythm section now. He's comping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's playing the right hand of an organ or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then check out this stuff. That's just Roy and D'Angelo. All that layered voices.
That is killing.
Isn't that killing? Bringing everybody back in. This is where I was kind of unsure what they were going to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because the album took so long. But one of the most...
That's such a Roy line. Voodoo, yeah. That's the way he improvises.
One of the most charming parts about an album that took this long is that it still feels so loose.
Yes.
And like everything was on the day.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't get too precious with like, we gotta really make sure that it sounds like someone produced this.
Yeah.
Like it just sounds like musicians letting what's happening happen. It's my favorite music.
Giovanni Hidalgo on congas, I should add too as well. That's the other music. And this is all just like, they didn't know what section they were going to, but
Incredible.
like that's the way we always end when we're not sure what's going to happen. Man, so just check out, I just want to play one more part of this with just the vocals, because like D'Angelo is just killing it with this stuff. That's the way it is.
Wow.
That's all D'Angelo layered. So that's fun. That's a good track.
That's a good
you
track.
Like that one?
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, so that's kind of like it's in the middle of the record. Well, I guess it's getting a little bit more. It's sort of in the meat. And Charlie Hunter, he's on 3 tracks, and he just really, with the bass and the guitar, he brings such a special thing to it. Well, you want to get into some? Oh, you know what? I got a couple other tracks I want to get on before we get to our categories. Send It On. Like, this is one of my favorite tracks on here. And now I found out what the inspiration for this is kind of interesting. Before I play it, I'm going to play you this. Sea of Tranquility by Kool and the Gang.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Okay.
When's the Kool and the Gang episode happening, man?
I know, exactly. Now here's D'Angelo, different song.
I never would have put that together. It's fantastic.
Send It On.
Of course. That's great.
Okay, Pino on this. This is Pino on this, make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, killing it. I'm in a mirror with the bass drum. Woo. Man, that bass drum and that bass. Woo. See, this isn't behind the grid, but it's not stuck on the grid either, right? Maybe a little bit, but it's natural, right?
No, this feels pretty straightforward.
Man, I love these Roy lines. This is Roy playing flugelhorn mostly on this. And I want to just jump a little bit towards the end because there's some fun stuff with Roy. This is getting towards the end. Cross stick.
Cross stick is king on this one.
Pino starts to stretch out. Oh, D'Angelo. There's a lot of vamps on this record, and I like them. This is like a little different each time. He's gonna hit a harmonic in a second. It's gonna be... And it's all right.
letting him play.
Man, it's such a vibe.
Let him play.
And I mean, you know, D'Angelo set this whole thing up. Like, you can just feel it, like with his vocals, with his leadership on this. I mean, to be able to pull that kind of, like, to create the platter for the charcuterie of soul. I mean, it's just incredible, man.
Say it again.
I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, Roy was a bad boy. Pino was a bad boy. But, like, together at that stuff, like, messing around with that pentatonic stuff, after they've been vamping for, like, 2 minutes on the same progression, and for it to be even more humane and just grooving and just feel right, you know.
I know, Peter, I know we're not in flex categories yet, I know we're not in categories yet, but I have a flex category.
Okay.
That I want to throw out
Yeah.
here, right? There is a song on this album that is a cover song. And my flex category is...
There's only one cover, right? So I know what that is.
Is the cover better than the original? And I think in this case, this cover is better than the original. And I love the original. Don't get me wrong.
Is the original the Roberta Flack? That's the one that I know, that when I first heard
That's the original hit version.
Do I have that on here? I think I do. Do I have it?
Well, we have it on the Roberta Flack episode board.
Oh, no, I got it right here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, you're like,
we've already done that album.
Oh, Feel Like Making Love. Yeah,
Like
we got it
Making
here.
Love.
Yeah, so if that's that's an incredible version of Roberto, but this is a great version.
I think this is a better version of the song. I go back to this one again and again and again. I probably listen to this once a month.
There we got some snare. Oh, no, we still cross.
I think both. I think there's both happening. Yeah, like the feel of this one.
So everything on it, this is Pino on bass, Amir on drums, everything else, guitar, keys, vocals is D'Angelo. It's just,
Come on.
But it's got a connection to that original, right?
All those like little envelope filters that are happening.
Yeah. Russ Elevato, man. Bad boy.
Roy here.
Perfect.
Just perfect.
Perfect. Man, D'Angelo's vocal, like his intonation and his ingenuity, that combination of them, man. Oh, come on.
The harmonies through here. The vibe of this, man, more than it's the sum of all these parts.
Yes, it is.
On this one, there's so much magic on this whole album.
This is right in the pocket, man. And I think because of the way Amir is playing,
Sexy.
It is very sexy. The way Amir is playing, like, it gives Pino the chance to like do all this interesting like bass.
And D'Angelo's voice in the mix is super low.
Yeah, super low. Like so many layers of it, but it's like right in the middle. Like it's
wild.
It's that's why you can't understand anything he's saying. I know these words because of Roberta. Who was that? They called it. This is bad. Okay, we can just sit here and listen to this all day.
I'm saying, man.
Man, you want to go for drinks together and just listen to this all day,
It's
man?
crazy. It's so good.
In the liner notes, whoever wrote the liners described, I think this is actually in the liner notes, that it's very hard to understand. That's why they put all the lyrics in there. Was described as D'Angelo as Bobby McFerrin on opium.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know if I like it either, but that's what it says. Okay, just to jump back, because we mentioned like Brown Sugar, 1995.
Yeah.
So this is really 96, 97, 98, 99, right? This is his first record.
Oh, we didn't listen to Brown Sugar.
No, this is 95. But you hear the drums. Now we're on the grid, right? Killing though.
I love this.
This is killing.
Such a deep bass on this one.
Yeah.
D'Angelo likes a bass.
Yeah.
He likes a, and I mean that in the mix. Like he likes a low end heavy, low mid heavy mix.
Don't think I'm sleeping looking at you. All of them wishing they could have.
But in terms of like the keys,
And as a matter of fact, a bunch
You know, the way he would layer his voice, single going to the...
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe of that, but that's how different, like, hey, the evolution from this to Voodoo is big.
Voodoo is a little bit, I think, a little bit better. It's like a sounding album. Like, it's like he hit his stride with Voodoo. Like, he took whatever... I mean, Brown Sugar's amazing, but I think he probably learned some stuff from that. And man, we are all benefiting from the results of that.
Yep. Okay, and so one connector besides D'Angelo from that, especially that track, that's written by or co-written by Raphael Saadiq.
Yeah.
Who's going to have an influence on a track that we're going to listen to shortly.
Underrated musician Raphael Saadiq, of course, of Tony, and of his own incredible solo career, but is behind a lot of your favorite tracks.
Absolutely, yeah. And also really connected with D'Angelo going way back before, well, like back to Brown Sugar days when they first met. I think it was like their manager or the publisher or something connected them and said, I think you guys would hit it off. And they bonded over Hawkins family recordings, how they had like an encyclopedic knowledge. And Raphael's older, kind of almost like half generation. I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's like 8, 9, 10 years older than him. But like they really like bonded on that. You hear it deeply in their music and the way that they would put stuff together. But before we get to that, of course, we're talking about how does it feel. I'm thinking a little chicken grease might be in
you know, actually, since you mentioned Raphael Saadiq and Brown Sugar, does Voodoo, is Tony like a kind of a precursor to this?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's
now that I think about
I mean,
it.
that's definitely like part of that 90s R&B sound, but like that's I think there's a
but
bunch.
a little more on this side of the fence than the others you mentioned.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit more, there's more gospel. There's a little bit more gospel.
Yeah.
But also like there's, you know, Tribe Called Quest, we got to talk about that. We got to talk about a little bit about hip hop and how, because there's a little bit of like, I mean, Redman and Method Man on the second track on this.
Joshua Redman?
Joshua Redman, exactly. DJ Premier produced one of the tracks on here. So there's a little bit of that here. But if you think about some of the like where kind of 90s R&B was going, there was definitely that lane where it was just like killer hip hop beats right on the grid, quantized, with like great R&B glossy vocals on top of it. Like that was really much becoming the sound, you know? And a lot of folks had great success with that, but this is so different from that. And you already hear the beginning of it with Brown Sugar. Actually, so we talked about the Live at Jazz Cafe, the kind of unknown or lesser known record that came out in 98, but they recorded it. Brown Sugar came out in 95. He went on tour immediately, and with his band, which was a killing band, they recorded in 95 in London this. And this is actually Brown Sugar, but from the live record, just for folks that don't know about this. You already hear. That's the snare. So this is a great record. A lot of like extended cuts, improvs, great background vocals. Angie Stone's on. I mean, it's a lot of really, really killer stuff there.
Cool.
So we were talking about. Oh yeah. Should we do a little chicken grease? This was definitely, you know, like a known popular whatever track from here, like all these was, right?
Yeah. I actually don't know what the singles were. I mean, I know Untitled, which I'm sure we're getting to, was a single. But I don't remember what
That's the only one I remember.
The other singles were, because I was just listening to the whole album all year long.
Right. James Poyser on keys, shout out.
Yeah.
Another one of the
incredible
from the Roots and
incredible
beyond.
musician.
But the rhythmic stuff the D'Angelo's doing. The lyrics, you understand what's happening, right? The story he's telling. Don't be uptight, shake it off and do what you want. He's almost doing some of that Dizzy Gillespie shit.
I just connect with the title Chicken Grease so much.
Yeah.
It just means so much to me. Yeah.
Apparently that was a Prince term. There was a chord that he called that was close to this. It wasn't exactly what they're playing on guitar. He's like, give me the chicken grease.
See, I'm like that old bucket of Crisco, the sitting on top of
Crisco.
Simmer, super sizzle like a thing.
But it's like the rhythmic thing. It's almost like a hip hop.
Let the other go first, so the butter smoke this. Fried till it's burning crisp.
I mean, Tribe Called Quest, big influence here. You're hearing that.
Like this. Now you know how it's going down.
But check this out. Just listen rhythmically.
Come on, everybody, let's go. I just want to put you down. Yeah. I just want y'all to get down. Yeah. Everybody come let down. Yeah. Give me a little bit of chicken grease.
And then check it out when he comes back in. It's so great.
If you wanna come on down in the front, but baby, no, it's cool. It's cool. Everybody that's making the funk, put you in school. Put you in school. But take a lesson from the blessings without the passion thing. I got the music and the instruments and my weapons at hand. Everybody on the floor, that's the gift with the beat. Clap your hands, clap, but just stomp your feet.
That's just D'Angelo and Pino, of course.
I just want to put you down. Yeah. I just want y'all to get down. Yeah. Everybody come let down. Yeah. Everybody is on me, yeah. Outside where you play.
Just together pretty good, huh?
My old millennial heart just shines through with that.
You're not a millennial. Okay. All right.
Never mind.
We've done that. You're like, it doesn't even sound right. I'm not going to do it. All right. Are we there? How does it feel to you?
It feels the chicken grease is. I'm hung up on the chicken grease because I am an older millennial and it's not good for my cholesterol, and it's catching me up because I want it.
All right, this was a really important track, withstanding the video, the stellar video that goes. If you haven't seen this,
the naked video.
If you haven't seen this, what would you be under the age of? Well, I did play it for my 22-year-old son.
Did he have any reference?
He knew the recording, but he'd never seen the video. And so I was like, oh, you got to check out this video. And he saw it. He was like, wait, is that R. Kelly? That was the first thing he said.
Really? Wow.
Anyway.
I mean, this was on VH1 for like every day, 10 times a day for like a year and a half.
Right. Yeah. Especially when what's the hours when the ladies are more likely to watch? It's a stunning thing. I mean, it's an amazing video. One of the most iconic music videos of all time.
This is one of the great.
Controversial in that it was it sexually exploitive? We didn't know, but it was very, very interesting. But this is such a great track. So we talked about Raphael Saadiq. Was this written? Yeah, it was written by D'Angelo and Raphael Saadiq. And Raphael Saadiq played guitar and bass on here.
Awesome.
And produced the thing. And so it's just them, D'Angelo, Questlove on drums, and I love the way this track starts.
It starts. I actually will never. I will never forget the first time I heard this song because I was in like this like really dark, red cushioned New York City, Lower Manhattan lounge.
Damn,
right?
it was just a vibe.
And we
a brothel?
No. What? What are you talking?
The way you're describing it. Well, I'm thinking about the song, the lyrics for the song.
Okay, yeah, okay. But no, just like hanging out all night, late night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of those nights. It's like 21 years old.
Yeah.
And then this came on. The DJ put this on, and it was this great sound system in this like loungy atmosphere place. Yeah. And I'll just never forget getting hit in the chest by the production on this.
Oh,
and
the bass will hit you in the chest.
I was like, I just couldn't stop being distracted by the song and what was going on.
It's so good. It's so good. Let's just check it out and just pay attention to the way this starts, because I don't know if this was as obvious with the video and with the radio, but like for being such like a powerful ballad, it starts in a very disjointed way that I think is super effective.
Now this is
Like-
where the time is gonna
Yes.
sway a little bit.
But D'Angelo's, that gospel piano stuff he's doing is what bridges it together rhythmically.
Girl, that's only you. Have it your way. And if you won't,
The harmony on this. Great key for D major.
that if you have me,
Woo!
I can
That octave, come on.
everything that you desire. And you get a feeling,
Raphael Saadiq.
Incredible.
feeling that I'm feeling. Won't you come closer
There's like 4 masters
to me, baby?
laying it down.
Yeah, incredible.
Now you already got me.
I mean, these are just straight up gospel chords right here.
It's fairly simple. It's one of the more simple songs on the whole
Very
album.
simple. And it's one of the most, it's harmonically simple, but super interesting. Starting on like backdoor fade 2/5. I mean, backdoor 2/5. And it's like 2 to the 4 chord, up to the 7. Oh. All right, we're gonna jump up to.
What are you doing?
Sorry.
What are you?
Okay, sorry, man.
You gonna jump where? I just caught a wave.
I thought you were doing this before.
Oh man.
Oh, did you hear that? Oh, come on. Prince's hands, his little hands are all over this.
Prince is all over this track for sure.
Especially that guitar player.
Okay, we can.
No, let's keep going now.
No, because there's some apex moments I want to talk about.
My
later.
apex moment is when it goes to the
Okay.
bridge, which is like, what is it, like 4 minutes into this? Which to me is incredible that they waited that long. And
So let's get to your Desert Island track, which is this.
Yeah.
Right? This is your Desert Island?
No, Spanish joint. We already
Spanish
did that.
joint. Oh.
But let's just keep playing until we get to the bridge, because some people may be like, well, the bridge is just whatever, but when you hear it building up, it's just powerful. I mean, vocal, background, counter melody, masterclass, all over this track. I mean, from D'Angelo. You want to learn how to harmonize?
Wait, is
a
this
melody?
Raphael Saadiq on the bass as well?
Yeah, bass and guitar. Yeah, he's
All
a
these
bad
years,
boy.
I thought this was Pino.
No, I know. Everybody does.
Bridge is killing.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel kind of blown away by that. It's a great bridge.
Piano.
Music interlude.
Oh, man, that form,
Yeah.
so patient. That's why that's my apex, because you go through that. You don't even need that, but it's, and then this.
Also, the entire vocal performance. There's like 6 of these guys.
Yeah.
They're all D'Angelo.
Yeah. Yeah, you feel the presence of Prince on this. And then all this
Let's
vamp.
just chill for a minute.
Yeah. The discipline, the sound. Oh.
I wanna lay you down.
So my apex moment is about to happen. They're going to build this up, and then they actually change the chord progression.
Yeah.
At the end, it's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
But it makes a huge difference.
It's like the sun coming through.
Going from A minor to G minor originally, but they'll go to A minor to C here.
That's a Prince chord. That's a Prince chord.
It's very Prince.
Now the time is like tightened up just a little bit, right? Appropriately so.
And then,
this is good. One of the great moments. Okay. And that cut off because they ran out of tape.
You're kidding.
No, that's exactly what happened. That was
like literally the tape was...
The tape. This was all Russ Elevato, the engineer, insisted on this all being done on analog tape, even though digital process, because he loved the sound.
I know I'm going to get audio engineer nerds being like, it doesn't make a difference. It makes it.
Yeah, you just heard the difference. But the tape ran out because they apparently went through like 150 reels, and they were expensive. They were like $200, $300 per reel at the time. And I guess they looked at it, and he knew he had like 7 minutes left on it. He's like, oh, well, this song's not going to be more than 7 minutes. But they got to vamping. They got to doing all that. And they ran out. So that's why it ends abruptly.
And there's one more track after this, and it's called Africa. It's one of my favorite tracks, but I realized, Peter, I don't think it's my desert island track.
Because you have it down as your desert island. That's okay.
Yeah, Africa is actually my second favorite track on the whole album.
I like this Africa, but it's only my second favorite song called Africa. I like the Meters Africa a little better.
What about Toto's Africa? Do you enjoy that one?
I like that one too. That one's good.
This one's better, actually.
Yeah.
D'Angelo's better than both of those.
Songs written after continents.
But I think actually the cover of Feel Like Making Love is my favorite track.
That's so good.
It's a desert island track for me. What about up next? What do you got after this ends on your music streaming service? What comes next?
I've got live at the London Jazz Cafe, just because even though it's before this, I think it's such a cool record. And once I get into the D'Angelo mode, I want to stay there. And then also the RH Factor. Roy Hargrove, which was inspired from this. He recorded it right after Voodoo came out with the same Russ Elevato co-producing.
Good.
And a lot of the same kind of vibe, and has that same Roy Hargrove stamp that you hear all over this record. What about you for up next?
I have two choices. I have either Purple Rain, which I think would be a great up next after that, or, and this is just a personal thing, I have Radiohead's Kid A, because it came out the same year.
Yeah.
And I remember I had my Manhattan Portage bag, and I had my Discman.
Yes.
A red Discman.
Nice.
And I'd have this, I'd have Voodoo, I'd have Kid A. I'd probably have some Coltrane in there, of course, but like I would be walking around New York City listening to those two albums next to each other all the time.
Man, music is about like that time. It's like going back, like I could tell for you, I know for me, like I've been thinking about all the things with that song, the different experiences I had. It takes you back. Like we think it's about like chord changes and like how the vocalists harmonize. No, it's the whole package. But when you can put together a masterpiece like D'Angelo did, like this on Voodoo, man, it's such a gift, right?
It's a gift because
it just does take you back to that.
It's a gift because it'll be with us our whole lives.
Yeah.
And there's even listening to it with you here today, I'm learning a bunch of new stuff that I thought I knew everything about this. It turns out I'm ignorant to a lot of things. And it's just like you hear new things every time with this music, especially music like this where everybody is like S-tier level player or producer or songwriter. And you just get to hear them play, right?
Yeah.
Like D'Angelo lets people play, and you get to hear, like hearing those details from Roy that you just stemmed out for us here was so cool.
Yeah.
And I will be thinking about that and going back to that for a while.
So great.
What about
bespoke Spotify playlist?
Yeah, your bespoke Spotify playlist. What do you got?
So I've got soul, songs, R&B.
What?
I know, a little controversial. I think this is like the ultimate like late 90s soul record. You could say neo soul, whatever.
I get it.
But I think that this is more soul, less R&B. So there's other records I will put in here in terms of listening to it as well on the Spotify playlist. Not that there's anything wrong with R&B. I think he won or was nominated for a Grammy for R&B. So maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, it reminds me of a soul record.
I got two ideas here. I got one Spotify playlist called Cross Stickin'. It's just a lot of tracks with cross sticks.
Yeah, what else? Yeah, there could be some cool stuff on that.
And I got another one that could be for like for special times called maybe like
for Suntory times.
You want to make out? That's the name of the playlist.
Want to make out? Wow, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
It's the direct path you could use.
Back to that red room, red velvet brothel in New York. Got it.
What about my quibble bits? My only quibble bits is with your red velvet brothel. That's it. That's all I got. What are your quibble bits?
Okay, the bass, sonically.
Yeah.
In certain situations, can the bass be too booming? I mean, in here, it sounds incredible.
Sounds great.
With headphones, sometimes in my car, it's like a gut punch. And like you say, like if you're in the right situation, there's nothing like it.
No.
But I mean, the bass is like you got to have great system. You got to have, some subwoofer. Okay.
Hard pass.
Okay. And then a quibble bit, you can't understand anything that D'Angelo says on the entire record.
Yeah, and again, I would
But that's part of the vibe.
I would like to bring Radiohead and Kid A into this situation because it's a very similar thing. I don't think I know. I mentioned those two albums that I listened to at the same time on the same year. I don't think I know more than 10 words from both of them combined, but that's okay.
But that's similar to this. But then it's not like when we talked about Steely Dan, like on Asia, and like a lot of the like you can hear what words they're saying, but a lot of it doesn't make sense to me. This is different. Like it's just like it's so.
The lyrics are probably pretty good.
Yeah, and there's some of them that you can hear, but it's like I know Playa. There's all this like basketball.
He's
stuff
so low in the mix.
Yeah,
and then he's usually got all like multiple choruses.
He's like an instrument on this.
Yeah,
like the vocals are always, but I think this is such an instrumental vocal record for him.
Yeah.
And then also there's a lot of vamps. That's a quibble bit, but I love all the vamps.
I like a vamp. Snobometer, what do you got?
Okay. Is it a 1 or a 10? It's a 1 or a 10.
Do you think it's super snobby?
I think it's kind of a snobby record, right?
Is it?
No. 5.
It was a huge hit.
I'm going 5.
5?
Yeah.
I have it's a 1 or 2. It was a major hit record.
Yeah, okay. 4. The snobometer confuses me. We've talked about that. No, but snobs love this record. Like this is a record that even if you're not
but if it's a 10 if only snobs like it.
Oh. So what would a 10 be? What kind of record? Like Giant Steps?
No,
not Giant
Would be like The Shape of Jazz to Come. Would be like near 10.
No, but that's on like Desert Island jazz lists all the time.
Yeah, but it's for snobby jazz musicians. We're talking about people who are
This is for snobby soul lovers.
Yeah, but a lot of people like this album. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, okay.
But
Brown Sugar is less snob. This is more snobby than Brown Sugar. This is less accessible than Brown Sugar.
Way bigger hit than Brown Sugar.
Okay. Beg to differ. Let's move on.
It wasn't. I think it was objectively.
I've got a new category for you. We talked about there's 4 D'Angelo records. I think there was maybe some EPs, some other things. 4 that I'm aware of that I've listened to that I've listened to a lot. What is your favorite?
This one.
Okay. This one's very good. I'm going to say this is my second favorite.
Okay.
I'm going to rank them. Live at Jazz Cafe, number 1.
No.
This is number 2. Black Messiah, maybe 3. That's a great record. We might have to do that. And then Brown Sugar, which is great too.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to go Voodoo, Black Messiah, Brown Sugar, Live at Jazz Cafe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it better than KOB?
No.
I say it's different. It's not about better.
He cannot commit to me.
This is a great record, man.
Every week it's like, it's maybe.
No, sometimes I said different, maybe. Okay. Accoutrements.
9.
Yeah, I said 9 too.
Yeah, it's
could
really
almost
good.
be a 10.
Really
there's
good.
nothing wrong with it. It's great.
Incredible. Video is incredible. All of it.
Man, leave us a comment.
Yeah.
On the YouTubes, we're getting some great comments, man.
Yeah.
We're having fun here. Thank you for this, man.
Thank you, Pete.
This is good. Until next time.
You'll hear it.